Recently at Thanksgiving, I was at my parents' house, and we have 4 children, and my dad is a big rabbit hunter. He loves hunting rabbits, and so I grew up with about 16 or 17 dogs, and my dad still has a ton of dogs. And at the Pope house, where I grew up, we don't waste food. We keep it in what we call the dog bucket, right? And so the dog bucket is everybody's leftovers. So when you have chickens and greens and yams, and when you got cranberry sauce and turkey and everything that we have, right? Whatever people don't eat or the bones that are left over all go into the dog bucket. So one day, I'm standing in the kitchen and the dog bucket is right next to the refrigerator. Why? I still am not sure. But one day, Judah is traipsing through the house, and he approaches the dog bucket. And so I said, Judah, no. And he looks at me and he walks away. Well, lo and behold, a couple hours later, my dad comes in and he goes and he empties the dog bucket. He feeds the dogs, which is totally cool. And so he brings the dog bucket back, and the dog bucket is empty, right? Listen, and you're going to catch it. So before it was full, and Judah approaches it, I say no. Judah says, I go. I'm not going to do that. That's cool. The second time, however, Judah approaches it, and it's only got a little bit of stuff in it. And this time what's in the bottom of it, you guessed it, is some Cheerios, some Reese's Puffs, some stuff like that, right? And so Judah begins to reach his hand down in it, and as he's doing that, there are several of us standing in the kitchen who look down and recognize it, and we scream, Judah, no, please don't do that. And so as I begin to pull Judah away from the dog bucket, Judah begins to scream and throw his head back and throw a fit. And I looked at my mom and I was like, man, if he only knew what was in this dog bucket. And she looked at me, and in a very hilarious way, if you know my mom's hilarious, she said, yeah, but it's food, so it looks maybe so appetizing to him. And I said, it's just funny to me that the food that has already been eaten might look appetizing to somebody who really doesn't understand what food should look like. See, in my son's life, he's used to eating things that are parade. He's not necessarily used to what food should look like. And so to him, the dog bucket looks no different than food normally does. I'm reminded of the book of Proverbs that says, to the hungry soul, every bitter thing is even sweet, but to the full soul, he even loathes the honeycomb. So I want to remind you today that what I saw in my son, I think, is what we all need to see as believers. God has uniquely given us food, strong meat, that we as believers, as we mature, should be eating. But for those of us that are babes in the faith, there's some puree, there's some milk, and we don't necessarily know any different. But as we grow, as Paul says in Ephesians chapter 4, we should no longer be tossed with every wind of doctrine, but we should continue to grow in our relationship with Christ. And as Judah grows, as he matures, he'll understand that this is a disgusting thing. He'll understand that this is not the place where I get food. But he's not going to get that if there's not somebody helping him grow and mature. So I want to challenge you today to get somebody to help you grow, get somebody to help you to mature, so that you might be able, by constant use, as the Bible says in Hebrews, to know between good and evil, to know the difference between things that are unwise and things that are wise, things that push us more to Christ and things that push us away from him. Ultimately, things that are genuine, strong meat, food, the way that it's supposed to be, versus food that's at the bottom of a dog bucket.